Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Aslam and Azrul from 5 Jujur. Today I'm going to explain about one of the applications of Archimedes principle, which involves the submarine. As you can see here at the bottom right corner, I've inserted a picture of him. For those who don't know who he is a great mathematician from Greek and also a scientist. Okay, before we move on to the main question, first we need to know what are the forces acting on a submarine. The force that acts forward is known as thrust. Thrust will enable the submarine to move forward. And when there is thrust, there will also be frictional force, which oppose it. And as we know, the submarine itself will have weight, which will act downwards. And the force that enables the submarine to float is, of course, the buoyant force. Next, let's look at the components of a submarine. So first, the main component of a submarine in order to float and submerge is, of course, the ballast tank. At the top of ballast tank, there will also be valve that could be opened and closed. And also at the bottom, there is a hole. Yeah. And at the front and the back part of a submarine, there will be trim tanks in order to maintain the balance, as if there are many crews at the front part of a submarine. So the weight here is higher than the rear part. So in order to maintain the balance, the submarine will fill water at the rear part of the trim tank. So the submarine will remain balanced. Next, this is the cross section of the ballast tank. As I've said earlier, there will be valves and also holes at the bottom. And this interior is where the crew of the submarines live and work. There will also be a compressed air tank, which is also crucial in a submarine, and I will explain the function later. So the main topic today is how do submarines submerge and float? So let's take a good look. In order for the submarine to submerge, the top valves will be opened. Okay. And the water will be forced into the ballast tank through the hole and fill the ballast tank, just like this. Okay. As water fills the ballast tank, the weight acting on the submarine will increase, but the buoyant force remains constant. Why is it? Well, the buoyant force remains constant because the total volume of the submarine is constant, and the buoyant force depends on the volume. While when water fills the ballast tank, the weight increases. Therefore, the weight will exceed the buoyant force. This means the submarine will submerge downwards. Now let's see how does a submarine floats back to the surface of water. Let's see if there is water inside the ballast tank. Okay. In order to float back to the surface of water, the submarine must remove all the water from the ballast tank, which means these valves at the top of the ballast tank will be closed. Okay. And this is the main function of the compressed air tanks. These valves will be open. The compressed air tank will push all the water from the ballast tank out of the hole. Okay, so there will be no more water inside the ballast tank. And the weight acting downwards will decrease, but the buoyant force remains constant. As a result, the buoyant force will exceed the weight, and the submarine will float back to the surface. So as you can see here, the how the submarine submerge and float is just the opposite of each other. So in order to remember how does a submarine does this, you just need to remember one of it, and the other one is just the opposite of it. Okay. So I think I've answered the main question of how does submarine works, and that's all from me. Thank you. Bye.